Hi, everybody. Welcome. You have arrived at Tantra to Supercharge sexual energy. So tonight's all about practices that as a single or as a couple, you can use. So for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Alicia.
I'm Erwan. Hey.
And many of you are in mastery of relationships. So hi, guys. And there's also many of you who are not in mastery of relationship yet, at least. Mastery of relationship is a weekly class that we have together studying all these fun and sexy topics. So for those of you that are guests, you are visiting one of those classes tonight. So here's how the night is going to go. In a moment, we're going to do about a 15-minute guided meditation. And then we will explore Tantra to supercharge sexual energy. We'll do some talking and some sharing and some exercises, and we'll put you guys in a brief breakout room so you can share and meet each other, and then we'll come back together. Those of you who are new, I'll give you a free gift and let you know how you can have even more of this in your life. And then we'll come back together, we'll take some questions and some sharing, and, that's about it. We're going to end by 9. And I said this before, and I want to remind you to have your videos on tonight so we can all see each other's faces. It will be a very different night if you do that.
You might have noticed being on Zoom takes a little extra something to be together. And it's pretty amazing how together we can be on Zoom. I'm pretty blown away by that. So we're going to start with a guided meditation. So get in your best meditation posture, nice and upright, chest open, spine lifted, yet also grounded, right? Grounded, relaxed, really sitting down, letting yourself unwind from the day. Meditation is a balance between grounding and relaxation and letting go, and alertness and awareness. So we're consciously relaxed. We're alert. Our awareness is crisp. Having a lifted spine and an open chest helps that. Having the skull, the head center, relaxed and soft helps that. Letting your eyes can be open or closed, but regardless, let them sink into the back of your skull. Let your brow be relaxed. Yet your chest is lifted, your breath is full, your heart is open. You're sensing your body. This is going to be a big part of tonight, a huge part of tonight, sensing your body, right? Sensing your body is a direct access to sensing your sex center, right? Your genitals, which is a huge access to your sexual energy. Right? Sexual energy is not theoretical. It's not a concept. Right? Your body is not theoretical. It's not a concept. Your sex center is not theoretical. It's not a concept. It's actually a very important part of you. So let your attention come down into your pelvis, into your hips. And really feel the base of your torso. The pelvis is like a bowl that supports that part of you, right? That sort of holds that part of you. Let your breath reach all the way down, not only to your belly, but below your belly, right? All the way to your sits bones, the bones that you're sitting on that are supporting your weight. Let your breath go all the way, quote unquote, down there. in an active, alert, conscious way, but also a relaxed way, an easy way, soft way. All right, this is the balance that we find in meditation. Groundedness, relaxation, letting go, and alertness, consciousness. And now we're bringing that relaxation and that alertness right into the pelvis. We're even bringing the breath into the pelvis. We're feeling the breath. Right? Technically, the oxygen goes only to the diaphragm, about at the level of your solar plexus. But there's movement in your belly and in your pelvis. Feel that movement with each breath. Now, more than movement, there's actually energy that goes down into the pelvis. If our attention is there, if our mind is there, if our focus is there, right? Our concentration. Let your concentration be in your pelvis. That's another key teaching tonight. Is your chi, your energy, your prana, your life force will follow your attention. Right? That's the basis of Taoism, right? The energy, the chi, follows your attention. So bring your attention all the way into the base of your pelvis. And notice how that center, the sex center, it feels different than the belly center or the heart center or the head center, right? Your pelvis has got kind of a little something different going on down there, right? Maybe it feels kind of excited and heated up. Here we are at Tantra to supercharge sexual energy, right? So there's maybe some tingling or some excitement, or maybe you had a rough day and it's kind of flat, or maybe it's hot, or maybe it's cold or warm or empty or full. Just let it be how it is, but bring your attention into your sex center. Notice that sex center, appreciate that sex center, love that sex center. Don't need it to be a particular way, right? Your mind, your conditioning, your thoughts, your history, your ego, if you will, might have some opinions. It might have some judgments. Oh, I should be turned on, or I shouldn't be so turned on, or I should be feeling this, or just skip all of that. And just love the experience in your sex center, in your pelvis, regardless of how it feels. Because that's real love. Real love is unconditional, right? Real love is not a love you if. So we're bringing the sex center back into the fold, back into consciousness. This part of ourselves that's been discounted, disregarded, that we are often scared of, or, all kinds of strange relationships to our genitals and our sex and our sexual energy. We're starting tonight's class by bringing that center in to awareness, by embracing it. And this is the essence of sensual practice, right? Tonight's also about sensual practice. We've been focusing, for those of you in Mastery of Relationship, on the 4 practices we recommend a person do daily. And sensual practice is one of them. And this is the essence of sensual practice, to be in contact with your pelvis, your sexual energy, the sex center, that dimension of yourself. Now, what I'd like you to do is feel your spine. While you're feeling your pelvis, also feel your spine. The base of the spine is your sacrum, right? It's a triangular set of bones that are fused together. Used to be a tail. A long time ago, it was a tail, right? So feel your sacrum in the back of your pelvis at the base of your spine. And on your next inhalation, please visualize energy moving from your pelvis, from your sex center, from your sacrum, up your spine. Just inhale that energy up the spine. Feel it as a sensation, visualize it. If you need to imagine it, it's fine. Just see it going up your spine. This is a very important practice called the upward draw, very central in Tantra, in Taoist sexual practice. They're very related, by the way. The upward draw, drawing the energy, hot energy, cold energy, however you're feeling it, the sexual energy, the energy of the sex center, drawing it up the spine, through the heart, all the way up to the head, even above the head. Draw it all the way up. So with each inhalation, draw it all the way up. With the exhalation, just let yourself relax. And continue this upward draw, this ascent, where we're not only embracing the sexual energy and feeling it, but we're mixing it with the body and the heart and the mind. We're bringing it up the spine. We're linking it to the heart, to love. Right? Let the sex center mix with the heart center. This is another fundamental teaching in Tantra, is to not separate these two. It's one of the wonderful things about Tantra is that the sex center and the heart center are not opposed. They're included. The sex center isn't relegated off to the side. So let the energy mix. Let it rise up your spine. Even imagine it. And notice what that provides, this vital center, this vitality, this energy, this interest, this appetite, this lust, this tingly feeling, with the love, the soft, the inclusive feeling of the heart. Maybe you're feeling that through your spine, maybe you're imagining it. However that's going for you, just be a big yes. And let them mix. And then continue to draw that energy up, even from the heart all the way to the head center, into your skull. So the sex energy gets to mix with the heart energy, gets to mix with the mind, right? The human mind, your mind. More complicated, more nuanced, more powerful than any supercomputer. Your vital center, more vital than anything we know. Your heart, the essence of love. And your mind, something uniquely human. They're all mixing, they're blending, they're together. It's like a party. That's the upward draw. If we're in a yoga or a Hindu system, we would talk about prana. If we're in a Taoist system or a tantric system, we would typically talk about prana. If we're in a Taoist system or a Chinese system, we would talk about qi. The qi in the pelvis is considered the qing qi. In the heart, it's considered chi. And in the spiritual center, in the mind, or even above the mind, in the spirit, it's considered the Shen Qi. But you don't need to know the words, you just need to directly experience your pelvic energy, your heart energy, your mind energy. Let them blend, let them mix. And now we're going to move to another central practice in Tantra. Not only the ascent of the energy or the upward draw, but the descent. So on the exhalation, let the energies come down from the head, through the heart, back into the sex center. On the inhalation, they're rising up the spine. On the exhalation, they're going down the front. See it, feel it. Imagine it if you need to. In the Taoist system, this is called the microcosmic orbit, up the spine, down the front. In Tantra, it's called the merging of energy. Can be done individually, can be done between partners. We're going to cover all of that tonight. The most important part is to let yourself be a big yes to your experience, to embrace, to love. Keep the inner critic, keep the judge out of it. Let there be a big yes, like a neon sign, blazing in your visual field, a big yes, embracing the energy going up the back, down the front. With the inhalation and the exhalation. Like a wheel that's building momentum. Now I'm going to switch it up on you. Now I'd like you to exhale the energy up the spine, inhale it down the front. I'll tell you why in a moment. But exhale the energy up the spine, inhale it down the front, from the head, through the heart, through the belly, right into your sex center, and bounce it off the pelvic floor. So you're inhaling down the front, bounce it, and then exhale it right up the spine, a little faster, till it hits the back of your skull and creates a type of firework, so to speak, a type of explosion, bouncing the energy on your pelvic floor like a trampoline to really blast it up the spine, right into the head center for a type of positive explosion. Let it saturate your brain. Let your brain be saturated, drenched in this vital energy. And then raining down pleasantly down the front of your body till you bounce it off the pelvic floor again, up the spine. And keep playing with that. Bring that playful, yes, we have a 4-year-old. Everything for him is amazing. Rocks are amazing. The sky is amazing. Let yourself have that amazement. You are amazing. Let yourself play with it. Your breath, the energy, the sexual energy, your heart, your mind, bouncing it off the pelvic floor. Let yourself play for this last 60 seconds of the meditation. Some kind of appetite, some kind of interest got you here. Really feel it. Really enjoy it. Takes a pretty amazing person to come to an event like this and include this often discounted and disregarded energy. You are that kind of person. It is an absolute pleasure, a blast to be with you. Gently let your eyes open if they're closed. Feel the effect of your meditation, of your heart, your mind, your sexual energy, what it's like to have them all there. This is a key to health, a key to vitality, a key to romance, a key to really happiness.
Great to be with you guys. So before we dive into the material even more deeply, I want to say a couple of things for those of you that are new. You're our guests tonight. Welcome. You may have found out about us through friends or on Facebook or Eventbrite or Meetup or all those places that we find out about cool stuff to do. So welcome, you guys. So Erwan and I, for the last 25 years, have been we've supported over 10,000 singles and couples in unleashing your relationship potential. So you have a lot of potential in relationship, whether you're single, whether you're already in a relationship, and you might be in a relationship and want to increase the chemistry and the passion. That's one of the big reasons couples come to us. You might be single and having challenges finding somebody that you're really attracted to or feeling attractive or getting out there dating during this wild time of 2020, 2021. Some of you might have psychological challenges, sexual challenges, all that stuff we cover. I mean, we all have those, don't we? So we have a method called the Davon Method, and it has 5 parts, and it's how we address all of your goals and all of your desires and all of your challenges. You can see it on your screen. We start with bringing awareness and consciousness to those hidden relationship patterns that we all have that started when we were really little before we could talk, and they end up kind of burying themselves where we can't see them, but running our lives. We don't want that. We want to bring that into the forefront. So that's always the first part of our work together. Then you make deep contact with yourself, your true self. There's many words for this true self. From there, we unleash the chemistry that is possible and really there between the masculine and the feminine. And then we go into what we call choreography, which is dancing through the stages of relationship, like a literal roadmap of how to succeed in romantic relationship, no matter where you're at in the process. And then finally, we address cultivating your sexual potential. So I wanted to give you like the broad view of what we do. Tonight, we're focusing on cultivating your sexual potential. So let's say a little bit about ourselves and our backgrounds. I mean, I think, tell us about life in the ashram.
I needed an ashram, you know. I was born in Paris. My family, my mother and father immigrated when I was about 2. Their relationship was a complete disaster zone. They got divorced. My mother went back to France. You know, I grew up with my father, who was kind of sort of like a street fighter kind of guy in the streets of New York before it was cleaned up. You know, I think it got cleaned up. I don't know. At some point after I was there, it was a pretty rough place. So I had a very rough childhood, got into psychoanalysis at 15 years old, just all kinds of stuff, right? Sort of New York childhood. And when I came out to California for school, I loved it. I did every California workshop possible. Eventually, after I graduated, I ended up living in a yoga ashram. I had also, prior to that, lived in a Zen monastery, graduated with a degree in psychology. I was doing anything and everything to sort myself out, because if anybody needed to be sorted out, I needed to be sorted out. And when I was in the ashram, I was, relatively well sorted out, but I had a problem, right? I'm meditating every day. I'm doing yoga. I'm so into the whole spiritual side of things. But then I'm also really into the romantic sexual side of things. And life in the ashram really, those two didn't mix well in the ashram, if you can imagine. I visited the ashram recently. We live in San Francisco, and I went by there recently. We'll show you a picture of it.
Yes.
It's a place really dear to my heart, and then we did a lot of meditating in the meditation room, and that side of things is really central for me. But it didn't fit so well with my sexual life. Right? In fact, I was the director of the ashram. I'd lived there for a while, and, eventually they made me director, which, go figure, right?
That's pretty funny.
And, one day I'm leading the house meeting. We'd have these house meetings, and, all these people living in the ashram, this crowded room of people, we're having this meeting, and I'm talking about the meal plan, I think it was. And in the middle of the meet, I'm horrified, because in the middle of the meeting, a close friend of mine, a South American man named Hari, he stands up in the middle of the meeting while we're talking about the meal plan, and he says, "Erwan, have some restraint," and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and what he was talking about was the fact that I was sneaking women into the ashram after hours because we weren't supposed to be having sex and all the rest of this kind of stuff. And I had this conflict, and I didn't know how to bring them together, the sexual side of things and the spiritual side of things. And, I love the ashram, but eventually I had to leave the ashram, because I really wasn't going to forego. I wasn't going to give up my sexual self and my romantic life, which was pretty off the chart, actually. So shortly after that, I took a look at what did I want to do? What did I want to do for my life, with my life? And I saw that what I wanted to do was bring those two worlds together. And that was over 20 years ago. Now here we are, 2021, Tantra for sexual energy. And it's been the ride of a lifetime teaching this to really countless people. It's been a privilege, it's been a joy, and it's really kept me in what I love the most. It's really kept me with myself and my spirit, and with my love life, which now Alicia has basically taken over. She's, she is my love life. We'll talk more about that tonight.
Yes, we had lots of stories for you guys. So a quick background on me, I'll tell you more later about it. But I was studying psychology in my master's program, studying to be a therapist. And right as I was starting to kind of finish the program, graduate, I met Erwan, and I was ravenously studying female sexuality, but meeting this guy took it to a whole other level. So I will tell you more about that later. I was not in Kansas anymore when I met Erwan. I will just tell you that. So we've become the go-to place in the Bay Area, which is where we live, and now we're expanding to everywhere because we're online. But we've become the go-to place for all things romantic and sexual. And here's the thing. People think they need more information. You don't need much more information up here. We like to handhold you through the process of creating a successful romantic life and sex life. It's such an exciting area. It's also very tender. It takes a lot, and that's what we love to do. So we're really happy to be here with you guys, and we are going to continue diving into this. So let's see. Oh, you guys, Mastery of Relationship. We have somebody new starting tonight, Lorraine. I'm calling you out in front of 100 people. Hi, Lorraine. Welcome to the program. Wave.
Where is Lorraine? I want to see Lorraine.
Oh, I saw her during the meditation. There she is.
Yay! And Lorraine is in Australia.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love Australia. There are some, this is a secret, there are some countries I don't love. I love Australia. That's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, so welcome. And then Mastery of Relationship. Last week's activity was to meditate daily, even if for just a few minutes. That's a skill that we're building. So that was your activity. And tonight we're going to continue with the 4 practices that we're studying in Mastery of Relationships. So you can see here we focused on meditation last week and some psychological inquiry here. And tonight we're focusing on sensual practice.
Sensual practice is priceless. Sensual practice is fun. Tantra is a whole school of thought that addresses it very, very directly. Now, people are often kind of mystified, what is Tantra? I'll give you the bottom line on Tantra. Tantra basically means sensual practice that supports enlightenment. Okay, so if you want to get to the essence of Tantra, it's sensual practice that supports enlightenment. Now, sensual practice includes sexual practice. It includes sex. But it's not limited to sex. And this is a very important point in Tantra. Right? Sensual practice, sensual means of the senses. Sense of touch, sense of taste, sense of smell. Right? So these are all, hearing. Right? So they're all different dimensions of our ability to feel. Right? As human beings, we get caught up in thought. Tantra is the solution to getting caught up in thought, to really go into your senses. So let yourself feel your senses right now. Don't stop the guided meditation. Continue the meditation. Continue that alertness, that aliveness in your senses that even includes your sexual center. This is the essence of Tantra. It makes a huge difference for not only your love life and your sex life. It's essential for your love life and sex life for you to be in your body, in your sex center, feel your genitals, your senses, all of that. But it makes a huge difference for your health, for your awareness, for your enlightenment, for your awakening, right? Your sex center is like your fuel tank. It's like your vital center, right? So if you feel that energy in the lowermost part of your torso right now, I'm doing it, Alicia's doing it, you're doing it, I can feel most of you doing that. If you feel that, it's not only sexual, it's also vital. So don't cut that off. When we cut off that part of ourselves because of, whatever, something somebody told us in, Catholic school or Jewish school or Muslim school or whatever school, right? Northern school, Southern school, whatever. When we cut that off, we also cut off our vital energy, right? So Tantra is about not cutting that energy off, really experiencing it and moving it through all your parts. So it's very not conceptual. It's really lived. It's a practice. And in the Davon Method, we recommend that you do that practice daily, right? Whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship. If you're single, you move that energy through your body. You set up your environment to feel good. You got something nice to hear, something nice to taste. You're kind of in that part of yourself. Let yourself go into that part of yourself right now. If you're in a relationship, you do the solitary, alone, single practice. But then we recommend you do it with your partner also. We'll show you some pictures and talk about how to do that so that that energy gets exchanged and shared with your partner, right? Which is, kind of the whole point of being in a romantic relationship. It's different than a friendship. It's different than a companionship, right? All right. So let's share a little bit about our life, and then let's go into some of the specific practices that people can do.
Sounds good. So one way to say what we're talking about is living Tantra versus studying it from a distance. I was in my graduate school program, and it was this awesome holistic studies program and psychology, and you could basically just study whatever you wanted, and all our papers were like written about ourselves and our openings and insights. I was like, this is great.
Isn't that a great college?
I was like, this is awesome. So, I was starting to get really interested in female sexuality and psychology and how it all works, and I would hole up in the library, reading anything I could get my hands on. And that smell of the library and the books, and I was just there. Oh my gosh. And then after a while, I started to notice, this is just kind of cerebral. I was in the computer lab writing my things and the books, and so cerebral, right? I was in my head. I wanted to be in my body and in my sex center. So, studying it some was really great. And then I meet this guy, okay? Total new creature, had never met anybody like this guy. This woman who's still a close friend of mine today, Shana, introduced me to him because of how obsessed I was with everything sex and psychology, right? Erwan is basically the man, okay? So we started dating, and he'd be like, come over. So come over wasn't like, come on over and we'll watch a movie. And it was like, come over to my 2 houses that I'm running in Brisbane. He lived in Brisbane, was running and managing these 2 houses. Each house was huge and packed full of people living there, studying sensuality research and masculine feminine dynamics and orgasm. So it was come over was, I'm driving in my little Honda Civic, from North Berkeley, driving across the Bay Bridge to Brisbane, and my genitals were on fire the second I crossed the bridge and was going to his house. And then I would show up at the house I thought was his and knock and oh, he wasn't there. So I'm going down the street, and there he is. And there's all these women and friends and moaning from upstairs and laughing and so I got really into living it. These people were living it, and I was living it, and I was having the most amazing sex ever with Erwan and discovering extended orgasm. And okay, I'll tell you something. When it came time to write my master's thesis, I'm okay, I'm totally going to write all about this. What is the true source of a woman's attractiveness and her sensuality? And my advisor, wouldn't allow it. She got so triggered. She was like, this is just, not academic enough or something, which didn't make sense because it was completely academic, total legit paper. I changed advisors and was like, will you support me to this Vernice Solomar, the best advisor ever? And she looked at my write-up. She's like, I need this. This sounds great. And so I really was into living it. My advisor got into living it, and I'm telling you, it's all about living it, guys.
So Alicia dove in. Alicia really dove in. So let yourself dive in to your experience, right? That's the essence of tonight. Dive into your body, include the sex center, include the relational field that we have going on right now. Now, so Alicia came over, I'm falling in love with Alicia, we start dating, I've got this crazy sex life, I overcome my issues about committing in a relationship. I had a lot of issues, trust me. My mother left when I was 7. I had a lot of issues about committing in relationship. I was like Mr. Don Juan, right? Like don't commit, like that. But anyway, I overcome those issues. Alicia has this great childhood and blah, 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 but she has issues about having fun and loosening up. She overcomes her issues like that. We're in a relationship. It's going really well. And, after a while, it dawns on me, probably because Alicia told me she wanted to get married, right? It didn't dawn on me by accident, right? She mentioned that. She did it in a really intelligent way. She did it in a fun way. I'm overcoming my issues about commitment. So I figure I will take her to Mexico.
Okay, so Erwan invites you to Mexico. He's like, let's go to Mexico. It's going to be a special trip. Let's go. So we get there and we're in Mexico, okay? We're in this little bungalow right on the beach. The literal floor is sand. And then get this. Okay, we got to show them this picture. There was a nude beach right in front of where we were staying. Awesome. And then there was this sign that said nudity is strictly forbidden. I mean, how about that? Isn't that just like life? We really, really want to have sex, but it's not allowed by our inner critics, So there we were nude. Erwan is rocking my world orgasmically. Every hour I'm having these amazing orgasms, so much sex. He brought the energy up. And then he proposed, and it was crazy. I mean, the sexual energy that was running between us was just off the hook. And it was the most loving, gentlemanly, attentive thing that he could have done. This is the actual moment, guys, that he set up a camera. This is before iPhones and all this kind of stuff. He set up a camera, got the moment, hello.
Nowadays it would be easy. Back then it's you need a tripod and to set things up and timing and all.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm bragging.
Yeah, no, I know. You're so good. I know. And afterward.
See why I love her?
And I just remember having dinner afterwards, and we were so high on all of our sex and the engagement and everything. And we were sitting at this table, and of course, again, our feet were in the sand, and there's the ocean, and we're eating dinner, drinking our margaritas. And the server was like, "You guys look really happy." You could just tell, and the vibe was spreading throughout the restaurant. Sexual energy, it's everything.
It's very important to connect to that part of yourself, right? We all want to have a soulmate relationship, an eternal date. That's a big deal. It's a big challenge. That includes that sexual energy, that turn on, that appetite, that visceral energy. So the invitation of tonight is to really include it, really feel it, really be a yes to it. If you're in a relationship, it's crucial. If you're single and you're going to get into a relationship, it's really important to get into a relationship that has that kind of energy to really qualify the person, right? Test the person, if you will, for are they interested in having that kind of relationship? Alicia checked me out that way. I checked her out that way. She was, and it brought us to amazing peaks. And that's why we shared that story about getting engaged, that the love, the commitment in a romantic relationship is not separate from the turn on, let's use a technical term, the ching chi. I love saying that, the ching chi.
It has
right?
a nice bright ring to it.
Our son has a little bit of a lisp, so now we're having a lot of fun supporting him with words.
Yes.
We don't have him saying the ching chi, don't worry about that, but we have him say S word, right?
Snake.
So that's very important. Now if we fast forward all the way to today, right? 20 years, nearly 20 years from when we got engaged.
Well, and you guys, right? This is this morning for us. Life is life. I woke up yesterday and I couldn't move my neck. It was we had gotten massages. It was this big deal and mass. Everything was the massage and it was supposed to make me feel good. But something happened and I slept on it wrong and I couldn't move my neck. So normally in that kind of situation, you might think, well, sex is out the window, right? You can't move your neck. And right, acrobatic sex, probably not a good idea that morning. We have a morning sensual practice that we do, and that doesn't have to be acrobatic sex. And I crawl back into bed with Erwan after taking our son up to school, and I'm like lying on him. And the minute he put his hand on my neck and started squeezing it, my body relaxed. And then we're laying there, and then I'm like, wow, I'm kind of like starting to get turned on. I didn't expect this. I thought my neck would put me out of the sex department. No. And then we have this extended orgasm date, which we'll show you a picture of the position, involves me being completely relaxed. Okay, so this is Erwan sitting up, I'm lying down, my clitoris is being stroked, I'm completely relaxed. And then, it even progressed to some other things, I even managed to give a blowjob with a completely relaxed neck. One of our favorite sex positions, let's just show them this picture right now, we call it lazy days. I just laid on Erwan and had full access, gave him an incredible BJ, it was awesome. So my point is that sensual practice can span from like holding to stroking to sex, and having that as a regular thing in your life, either with yourself or with your partner, can keep that sexual energy rolling.
Now, some days it's more like, if you look in the upper left-hand quadrant here, right? Some days it's more like this, connecting the body and the heart and relaxed and new age music. That's really important to get connected. Some days it looks more like this, right? Typically it goes from this upper left-hand quadrant to this. Now, if you take it on as a daily practice, whether you're single or in a relationship, it tends to progress. It also tends to make you a much more attractive relationship partner, whether you're single or in a relationship, if you're into sensual practice. So we're going to get into some of the kind of details and specific practices right now. We've been covering the most important part, which is your frame of mind, your big yes, your approval, and having it be part of your day, whether you're dating or single or not dating or with somebody and married for decades. Now, the first part I want to talk about something that's a little bit I don't know, how to say it. It's a little bit chargy to talk about. For men in particular, this is a little bit difficult, right? And this is something that we recommend. What we recommend is that to maintain sexual aliveness and energy and vitality, not to ejaculate at random, right? As guys, we're very into ejaculating, right? We're very, and nowadays with porn, it's available. Like, you don't even have to go anyplace. Like, it's not a real woman, but there's an image of a woman available in your pocket, right? On your phone. So the first thing I want to talk about is that for, as a practice, you do want to value and honor this Qing Qi. I hate to use a technical term like that, but this sexual energy, you really do want to value it. You really do want to honor it. We're not morally against pornography. We're not in that group at all, but you don't want to go over the edge a lot and ejaculate as a male, because it will decrease your vitality and your sexual interest, hence your fuel to get into a relationship with a real woman, or to be turned on to your real woman if you're in a relationship. So just take a moment, feel that, think about that, Now, how do you do that? So, how not to ejaculate, right? Because if I talk about not ejaculating, for some people it sounds like a nightmare, right? Like, well, how am I going to have release? I want to have a release, right? Well, how to not ejaculate and experience release. Let's talk about how not to ejaculate first. So this is the PC muscle, right? You can see it up on your screen. It's a very broad muscle. Here's the male, here's the female. For the purposes of this conversation, they're virtually the same. It's a very broad, flat muscle, okay? If you contract that muscle, it will clench up all the musculature around your sexual center. For males, your testicles and your genital and so on. And it will stop the ability to ejaculate. So the first step to not ejaculating is to clench that area, right? Genitally, the base of your torso. It can assist to do that with your fists. Just ride with me for a minute. Right now, male or female, just clench your fists, do a Kegel, clench your genitals, lock it up, right? That is a physical way to limit ejaculation, okay? And in Tantric or Taoist practice, that's usually taught first. And you can do it that way. As an advanced student, I'm going to sort of certify you an advanced student right now. Bing! Wish I had a nice sound effect for that, but you got the idea. As an advanced student, right, for those of you in Master of Relationship, you are advanced students. Many of you who are guests tonight have been practicing things in this vein, and you are advanced students. Wherever you are is fine. The way to do it as an advanced student is not to clench and do a Kegel and take the PC muscle and kind of lock it up, but is the opposite, is actually to relax. You're making out or you're masturbating and you're so relaxed that you don't ejaculate or you don't go over the edge, in which case you conserve that energy. The advantage to doing it in the relaxed way is that if you do it in a relaxed way, if you're so relaxed, you can still experience a sense of release. So right now, just ride with me. Feel your genitals, feel all the energy going on there, and let yourself be really relaxed, so relaxed that here, as we're talking about sex and orgasm, I'm not going to put on a pornographic picture, but I will put on a sort of semi-sexy picture, right? If you stay relaxed with that turn on, that increase in sexual energy, you don't crash over the edge, and you have a sense of sexual release. So how not to ejaculate and still experience release is to relax. Now, another practice that we recommend doing daily is what you've practiced, the microcosmic orbit. Move the energy through your different centers. Move the energy from your sex center to your belly, your body center, to your heart, to your mind, up the spine, down the front. Feel it, sense it. If you're not at the stage of feeling it and sensing it, just visualize it. This is a really good practice to do daily. Now, you also, if you're in a relationship, you may want to move that energy not just in your own body, but with your partner, right? So we'll show you some images that express that sexual energy, again, that's sourced in the first chakra, the sex center, the forbidden zone. To move that energy not just through yourself, but through yourself, through a partner, You could be having intercourse, you could be kissing, you could be doing all kinds of things, right? But you're not just moving it between yourself, you're moving it between yourself and your partner, right? The essence of Taoist practice and Tantric practice is that where your mind goes, your energy will follow. So we're inviting you to have your mind in your sex center. And if you're in a relationship or want to be in a relationship at some future point, just imagine that energy moving between yourself and your partner. Mm-hmm. And then that can develop into a daily practice.
Mm-hmm. We've got a great question in here. If clenching stops and relaxation, if clenching stops the ejaculation and relaxation stops it, what doesn't stop it?
So read that again for me.
If clenching stops the ejaculation and relaxation stops the ejaculation, then what doesn't stop it?
Stress.
Uh-huh.
Stress does not stop the ejaculation. Anxiety, goal orientation does not stop the ejaculation, right? So we're encouraging you, just like in meditation, we're encouraging you to be very, very relaxed and very, very alert while you sex.
Yes.
Now,
go ahead.
Okay. So now, this is for every woman or feminine person in tonight's event. There's about 100 of us here tonight. This is kind of obvious, right? Now, for every masculine person, this may not be obvious. This may be obvious to you, in which case, more credit to you, kudos to you, but it may not be obvious. It was not obvious to me in the beginning of my sensual research to really pay attention and stimulate key pleasure points in a woman, or key pleasure points in the feminine person, right? So for the purposes of this illustration, this diagram that we put up on the screen for you, the female genitalia is really important to grok, to understand, to study, to know. Nowadays, because of all the sort of conservative, shutting down sex and all the politically correct sort of alternative PC shutting down of sex. It's interesting.
Man.
It's interesting
Yes.
how both of those worlds kind of tend to shut down diversity and polarity and that energy. The female genitalia gets left out. Now, here's the female genitalia right in front of you, stimulating key pleasure points is a really important thing to know, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're a woman doing it to yourself, whether you're a man doing it to a woman you're dating, or a woman you've been in a relationship with for 20 years, whether you're a woman dating a woman, stimulating her and yourself this way. There are correlates if you're gay and you're a man stimulating a man this way, right? But you really want to know these key pleasure points. Now, here is the head of the clitoris, right? I'm moving the cursor over it. Here is the shaft of the clitoris. The head and the shaft of the clitoris are similar or homologous to the male genitalia. We have our cat. Bring our cat in. I want to bring Marley into the... Right?
I was about to take him out.
Well, let's
but
bring
I'm
him
going
in
to bring
instead.
him in. He can make a little cameo.
Let's stop the show
Hey.
and bring Marley into the picture.
Okay.
Yay.
Here's Marley. I'm going to put him upstairs.
Okay. So back to the task at hand, so to speak. So here is the head of the female clitoris. Right here. Here's the shaft of it. It's homologous or similar to the male genitalia. The male genitalia in your average sex act gets a lot of attention. The female equivalent does not. It's really over 10 to 1 in terms of attention on the head of I'm going to speak a technical term, the head of a guy's cock and the shaft of his cock versus the shaft of a woman's clitoris and the head of her clitoris, it's easily 10 to 1, right? So you really want to learn that just paying attention to that part of yourself or that part of your partner will make a huge difference.
And for guys, women can tell when you know about her clitoris, like really know, and you've learned and studied. There is no other skill that I would recommend learning about.
It's key to extended orgasm. Now we're kind of headed towards that, all right? But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So I'm going to take a back step, put this diagram back up for you. Now, this up here is a key zone of sensation, the head of her clitoris. Now, also, if you go into the vaginal canal, technically called the introitus, if you go in and to the right, you will contact her sciatic nerves on the right, which are very pleasurable to stimulate from the vaginal canal. You can contact them on the right, you can contact them on the left. They're called thunk spots. You go in a little bit to the right, in a little bit to the left. If you go in a little bit down, you contact her rectal nerves, if you'll permit me to say that, through the vaginal wall. If you go in and up, you will contact her clitoral nerves from underneath. Right here's the clitoris, but those nerves come down and they fork to the left and to the right. So if you go into the vaginal canal and you go a little up to the left and up a little bit to the right, you will contact not her G-spot, but her G-spots with an S, plural. Most people think there's a G-spot. There's not a G-spot. There are G-spots. They're the clitoral nerves contacted from in the introitus or the vaginal canal, and you have to go in a little to the left or in a little bit to the right. If you go in very deep, you will actually contact her spinal nerves, right? So this is one of our unique approaches to Tantra, which is to really be kind of scientific about it, kind of Western about it, to actually contact all of those nerve complexes. We do that every single day.
So everybody take a breath. We have been diving into some sexy stuff. So just feel yourself, feel where you are, allow yourself to digest. So I think it's a good time for an exercise. What do you say? Anything else you want to say first?
You know, I'm glad you asked, actually, because we've talked about the head, and we've talked about the heart, and we've talked about daily practice, and we've even gotten kind of clinical on you and, you know, sort of an anatomy lesson, which, to be honest, most people don't know, right? You know, if we really admit it. I want to bring in even another dimension of us that gets challenged with all of this technical information in the head and the heart, and that is our psychology. Right? So another practice that we recommend you do daily, for those of you in Master of Relationship, we talked about this a week or two ago, is psychological inquiry. Because here we are talking about sex, and you know, we have a lot of conditioning, we have a lot of thoughts, we have a lot of fears about sex. We recommend every day, whether it's through journal writing or dialoguing with your partner or dialoguing with a therapist or dialoguing with us, to really take a look at your psychology, really inquire into what's going on for you, even right now. Let yourself feel. Let yourself sense. Let yourself know, ooh, wow, you know, like I kind of have this issue. He's talking about, you know, I'm going to speak technically, my pussy or my cock, you know, and that kind of brings up a certain something. And you want to have a place and a time, ideally daily, to deal with those issues. A lot of sexual teaching and workshops and so on don't address that. You really do need to address that. And it's why it's one of the 4 practices that we recommend that you do daily. sensual practice, meditation, body practice. We're going to cover that next week, but also psychological inquiry. So let's do kind of a brief exercise right now to get back in we've delivered a ton of information, but I want to bring you back in contact with the sex center, experientially, sensually. So bring your attention down the front. Breathe down from your head to your heart, to your belly, to your sex. And sense your sex center. Sex your genital, your penis, your vagina, your cock, your pussy, Albert, Sally, whatever it is for you. Let yourself feel that part of yourself. Let yourself really sense that and embrace it and be a big yes to it. Like finding the fountain of youth, like finding the source of vitality. And then practice that upward draw, inhaling that energy through your body, through your heart, into your mind, like a sacred act. Because it is a sacred act. Let's practice what we've been talking about. If you're a woman, feel if you'll permit me, your clitoris, your vaginal canal. If you're a man, feel your cock and the corona of your cock, right? Embrace it, feel it, move that sensation through your body, through your heart, through your mind. Exhale it down the front like a pleasant rain, like a rain of love, a rain of sensation. We'll do tonight's not a session about extended orgasm, but let's bring a little bit of that in, even for 30 seconds. Just clench your genitals up and in, like a Kegel, like a pull-up, like clenching, like trying not to go to the bathroom, like trying not to urinate. Clench and pull up. We're all doing it. We're doing it with you. Clench and pull up. Now do the opposite. Push out, like you're bearing down, like you're having a baby, like you're going number 2. Just push out, clench up, and then push out. Those are voluntary contractions. You're moving that plumbing, that architecture, that part of your body, creating voluntary contractions. Pushing out.
Notice the sensation in your genitals. Notice it right now. Feel it. Feel it. Is it tingly? Is it thick? Is it thin? Is it hot? Is it cold? Just let yourself feel it.
Let yourself feel it. Pushing out, pulling in, creating voluntary contractions, and then stop the voluntary contractions. And notice there's an echo effect, an involuntary contraction. This is the essence of orgasm. You can keep that going as long as you want. That's the essence of extended orgasm. Tonight's not a session about that. That's all we're going to say about that. But it's a part of sensual practice. You can have extended orgasm anytime you want. You can have that be part of your coupledom if you're in a relationship or you want to be in a relationship. We highly recommend that. And just let yourself relax and breathe. Feel the echo effect of the upward draw. Even the mini extended orgasm practice we did. And most importantly, keep your inner critic, keep your judge out of it. As far as we're concerned, you're a superhero for engaging this kind of material. If you engage it daily, the fruits that it will bear will be beyond anything you can possibly imagine.